Hi, everyone, and welcome to Let's Get Visible, a podcast for small business owners, helping them to grow, have a sustainable business, and get more visibility online. I'm Dawes Brown, and I'll be bringing you SEO and digital marketing tips, as well as interviews and conversations with other small business owners. So, let's get started. Joining me today on the Let's Get Visible podcast is SzeWing Vetault. SzeWing is a coach, author, mother, and creative entrepreneur. She works with women to become modern-day goddesses, empower women to find authentic success and joy in all aspects of their life. She coaches with evidence-based sciences, grounded with spiritual practices, and she blends her years of experience in business consulting and life coaching to support her clients. SzeWing has a background in economics and political sciences, and she has a diverse career as a consultant on social and economic policies, film and TV businesses, and learning sciences. She's worked in both government and global businesses, and in the last decade, SzeWing has been speaking at private workshops and public events in Asia and Australia, including the Mind, Body, Spirit festivals and International Women's Day events. SzeWing is the co-founder of the Lighten Up Summit, which is an online video summit featuring health and wellness experts in Australia. She is the author of Goddess with Many Faces, Discover Your Archetypes to Transform Your Life, and the upcoming sequel, Becoming a Goddess, which is to be released in 2020, which is super exciting. So welcome to the podcast, SzeWing. Yay!
I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you because last year we actually had a catch up on your podcast, and that was sort of the first time where we started to really talk about and discover the different areas of online visibility, and you were obviously asking me specific questions about it from an SEO point of view. But I'm super excited today because since then, we've actually been able to work together in a coaching capacity and really go through that process. But I'm interested, and I know that the audience will be really interested as well, based on your extensive background and your experience in both life and in business, in sharing your journey and things that you've been able to, I guess, discover and find through being a small business owner yourself as well.
I'm really excited. I love doing interviews, and it's so nice to be chatting with you today.
Awesome. Thank you. So we do have a couple of questions that we're going to go through. One of the first questions that I wanted to ask you was about your business journey. So I just went through a bit of an intro and a background about you, but what actually made you decide to launch your business?
I think people tend to talk about midlife crisis, but then I think for our generation, maybe we have like a mid-20-ish crisis.
Right.
And I think, I've been working in my career in, I would say at that time, I was working as economist for the South Australian government in the Treasury. And it's great work and really stable. I think I was mid-20 or something. Yeah. And then I had this glimpse of my future where I will be, keep on working in a great, stable environment, get married, maybe have a nice car and house and children. And it's like a dream for many people. But then I just couldn't picture myself in it, having that suburban, 9 to 5 and really stable life. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a great life. It's a great picture. I just don't feel happy in it. And I had this quantum moment to say, God, there gotta be something more. And I just have this snap, and I know I need to explore more of what I really want, because I guess coming from a background, I'm Chinese. I was educated in Hong Kong, and then I moved to Norway. I studied in Europe for many years. I had all my degrees in London.
Wow.
I travel a lot.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, I think we're getting old. We tend not to talk about what we used to do at the beginning. But no, my point is that I think I was climbing a so-called ladder, like
Yeah.
how to better yourself. You graduate from a good school and you try to go to another school and then find a job and just keep going. But along the way, I actually forgot to ask myself what I really want to do in my life. And so when that glimpse of this perfect picture came in, I actually got really freaked out. I thought that wasn't me. I didn't want that. So immediately asked myself what I want to do. And so I did a U-turn completely. So I took my economics background. I cold turkey into a movie company.
Wow.
I got a job as a producer assistant or director assistant, whatever, like the bottom level. But because I was very good with numbers, so I was doing the budgets and I was telling them where the money went.
Yeah. That's important.
And I also actually, my father's an actor, so I do have some sort of symbiosis, some sort of knowledge in that field. So it kind of worked really well, and I was actually working as a towards a journey to become a producer because it's a money person.
Yeah.
But at the same time with the artistic creativity. But again, I felt it's not quite it, so I left again. But what it is it taught me to become a creative entrepreneur because I work with a lot of world famous director and producers that more in the commercial enterprises more than the movies and some TV shows. But the point is, if you work with true creatives, they're usually really good business people. Like you don't think creative is just creatives. Actually, very good creatives actually have the entrepreneurial flair because that's how they become successful. So I think that sparked me into thinking I want to do something to do with business that will help people that have a creative flair. And somehow along the way, obviously, I learned a lot of different spiritual from the spiritual teachers because I love that modality. And I mean, cut the long story short, I spent probably 5 to 10 years really learning different form of healing arts, becoming a creative entrepreneur. But I think at the end of the day, I came back to what I really love, which is helping women, helping people through my life and business experiences. So I became a coach and then writing my books and speaking. So it kind of like, it's a big roundabout U-turn, zigzag, but at the end of the day, it's all about helping other people using what I have gone through myself and what I have learned. So that's why it's all grounded in business practices, sciences, but also have a strong spiritual undercurrent because I think that's something I really think helped me a lot as a person, as a mother, but as well as a business person.
Yes. And so you just mentioned about your first book, which is The Goddess with Many Faces, Discover Your Archetypes to Transform Your Life. And then you do have an upcoming sequel later on this year, which is Becoming a Goddess. So can you expand a little bit more about how those, titles and books, especially the first one, how that came to be? Because a lot of my recent, discussions and conversations with solopreneurs and small business owners is writing a book is up the top, on the top of their list of one of the things that they would really love to do. I think the journey from, as you were saying, coming from working as an employee and then moving into your own entrepreneurial space, that's a bit of a hard word for me to say, but I think you actually go through a process and a bit of a journey that leads you to that next point in your life. So do you feel like the books, what was behind the books and how did they, sort of come to be and formulate as part of your path?
I guess I really believe in a lifelong learning. As in, I've been a coach for a few years and I've been working with different type of businesses and women and men. But then along the way, I kind of got into learning about mythology, and I found it was fascinating how mythology, the messages in mythology never changes, even thousands of years have gone by, and a lot of themes say resurrection, it's like across different cultures. So mythology actually teaches something quite fundamental. And I think in our society, a lot of times we forgot about all these moral lessons and, what is the right thing to do. And it's, again, it's something to do with a spiritual practice that I think a lot of this mythology, you don't read it like scientific story or historical account. You read them as in what helps you to get into your spiritual centers. So I found them very profound. And at the same time, I learned a lot about different psychologists. In the 70s, they're talking about goddesses and archetypes and how they all fit in together. And then somehow I just joined the dots. And I thought, I really want to talk about mythology and women evolution and how we have changed, how far we have come. And I think it will help women to find out who they are and where they are in their life. So suddenly it gelled. And then,
Yes.
I have a mentor, a business mentor, and he was asking me out of the blue one day that what am I planning to do for next year? And that was a few years back. And then I said, I've been working on these different subjects. And then he said to me, why don't you put them together into a book?
Yeah, great idea.
And then I realized that was always something that I was sort of stewing, but never quite articulated. Yeah, a book will be like the right product for all this put together. Because I do think that when you sit down to write a book, you have to assimilate all this information and really think about it. And it will help you to do with your work, but also capture everything that you want to put together and share the insight and knowledge you have. So it became a book. And through doing the book, I realized how much I love writing. I mean, I've been doing blogging and writing in that different capacity, but I never put it into a book. But once I started to do a book, I mean, obviously, typical me, I went all out to learn about how to self-publish, how to publish wide, which means in all formats, digital, print, and audio as well, and then how to publish in all platforms that you can as a creative entrepreneur. Because I mean, I could choose between a traditional publishing route versus self-publishing, but I decided to go for self-publishing, partly because my mentor was helping me to distribute it, but also he was doing it for a long time. So I chose that path and I loved that path. And then I even helped some other people, coaching them to put the book together or put the digital course together. So it evolved into another business venture. So from what I keep on learning and improving for myself and my clients became a book. But the book also became a vehicle to give more speeches, but also helping other people to do their books. And I really enjoy this sort of organic development from, one idea. But I think it's a long time coming though, that, all these kind of elements, components are, lining up, but you just don't know that that's going to be your path. But that was through that idea to putting everything I have learned and practiced into a product, which is a book.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I guess that leads into one of the next questions that I had. So your genius, like, how do you best help or serve your customers or your audience? And just telling us, I guess, a little bit more about those processes. So you've kind of started already with, how the books have been a vehicle, and it's actually helped you with your coaching to assist other entrepreneurs and other business owners develop things like digital courses and maybe like their own books. But what are some of the other areas or things that you do as part of your I guess list of different gifts that you have that you share with other people?
You mean like what I coach?
So what are some of the different, I guess, programs or offerings that you have to support other business owners, and women becoming, the ultimate goddesses in their own lives?
I think so that's kind of, again, it's quite organic, because when I get interested in study and learn more about mythology and archetypes and goddess myths especially, then I really came to questions that a lot of women have problem in terms of understanding the underlying patterns. So why they keep on dating the same kind of guy? Why they keep on and even though they know they're repeating the story, they cannot shake the pattern. or they get into the certain job or career that it just kind of never solved a problem. So a lot of coaches faces that. But I think what is different is that once I start incorporating archetypes, it gives them a blueprint about knowing who you were as you were born, that you have a certain archetypal influence, like a blueprint, as I said.
Wow,
So
okay.
I talk about 6 Greek goddesses like Athena, Artemis, Persephone, Demeter, Aphrodite, and Hera, like 6 typical goddess archetypes that I use with my clients or in my teachings. And I think when you understand, okay, so I naturally have this particular tendency, this inner pattern, which can change through time and maturity, but also you may not be like Athena, who's very much astrologist, a very headstrong, really wise, very mindful person. Like it's all about getting what she wants, really smart about things, but very disconnected to her body. And sometimes people are just born that way, like as in they are naturally just really head smart. And but some people have that because say the parents are very absent or they have very difficult childhood, so they have to step up and carry the family. They have to start working really young, for example. So they may have the Athena archetype, but one way or the other, that's who you are. But if you say have an Athena sister and you just got dumped by a boyfriend, you want a warm and fussy girly session, you're not going to get it from Athena. She's going to tell you these are the best books to read. You should see this therapist. She
very logical.
Very logical. She's going to help you in a very pragmatic manner because she loves you. But she's not going to just let you bitch about it and cry and all this silly stuff.
Get over it.
Get over it. That's her attitude, right? And and there's no good or bad. It's just that's who she is. But I think when you realize that is your archetype, that's your blueprint, then you give yourself permission to be who you are rather than shaping yourself to trying to be different. I'm not saying that you should you shouldn't, there are always things to improve in our character, but it helps me if I am a sister of Athena to understand that's how she show her love. She's not going to cry with me, but she's going to take me to the best therapist or retreat. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think it helps people to find out who they are and give themselves permission to be who they are. And it helps with the relationship. At the same time, understanding the inner patterns. So whether it's career choices, business choices, or even choosing the team that you want to work with. Because if you're Athena, you actually want some other character in your team, because you don't want all of you being so much pragmatic and in your head. Maybe you want someone more creative. Maybe you want someone warm and fuzzy. I don't know. Like, so there's different dynamics in a team, right? So I think it really helps people to understand themselves in a different way. So that's how I use the archetypal work with my clients, but then also take them through what I call the hero journey, because that's from really what I have learned from mythology, from Joseph Campbell, that every transition you have or any big thing that happens in your life is in a way like an adventure that you will go through ups and downs and different stages. But when you are in that, you know that all that shall pass. So even like at this time when we are, in face, that all shall pass. It's an adventure. But an adventure itself has usually external destination, but also an inner transformation. So you become a hero or getting to where you want to be. It's not just about physically getting there, but internally you have to grow and mature to become the person you need to be in order to succeed and reach your destination. So that's the part of who you are combined with where you are. And that's sort of the core practice of my coaching, to help people having a better understanding of it. And so that forms the sort of the crux of my books. It's about understanding that 2 pieces of information. And we work and we dive deeper into that. Does that answer your question?
That's amazing. I've just learned so much in a couple of minutes that you just explained all of that information. So,
Because I think a problem with lots of us, especially women, we have a certain built-in conditioning about who we are supposed to be when we grow up, or what are our role, and
Agree.
we should want for ourselves. And sometimes, given you have different archetypal difference that you're born with, or the circumstance that makes you to become so, that, you know, there's a time in our life, especially now when a lot of my clients are maybe not 18, 20, but maybe a little bit older. You want to figure it out. What is that I truly want? Is that all there is? And that's when you come to understand that. So maybe women now have a lot more choices, and therefore we should really think about what do we really want in our life,
Yep.
rather than just, you know,
Ticking a box.
taking the box,
Yep.
getting married, and who do we marry, and how do we structure a life. There's a lot more power comes from having conscious awareness about who you are and where you want to be.
Absolutely. And, you know, the fact that I guess you can come from that perspective, for me, is really interesting, because I guess there are different forms and ways in which you can help and support people through coaching. My coaching is very different. I teach about digital marketing and SEO, so it's, you know, very, very different from what you've just explained. But just having those insights, as you said, can help on both a business but a personal, you know, level as well. And the journey isn't just about the destination, as you said, but it's, you know, how do we get there? Like, what is it that we need to do? And just finding those little nuggets of information, you know, can really transform, I guess, people in the way they approach things, the way they look at things, and also the way they do things as well. So that's, yeah, that was really insightful. Thank you.
Actually, you know, I want to add something what you said.
Yeah,
you know,
go for it.
with your coaching, like I'm working with you on
Yes.
really specifically on SEO, but a lot of the things that you talk about or you make us work on, it's actually all stemmed from, so who you are and who you're going to serve. It actually come back. So, you know, here's the thing, all the business things that we do underneath it, because we're human, it comes down to who we are and what is our spiritual center. So basically, when you talk about, like, say, Google keywords and all that stuff, it may sound so technical and nothing to do with spirituality, but no, it has everything to do with who you are, who you want to serve, what is your purpose.
Yes.
It's not just about business, it's actually so integrated. So
it is.
When you were coaching me, I was thinking, yeah, I need to question myself. Who am I really serving? What is really the problem? Because if their problem is about finding life purpose, let's say, that's what they're going to type into search.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And see, like, I think everything in this world is actually more connected than we expect. And it's hard to separate. So this is the technical side. Of course, the technical skills and expertise, but I actually find a lot of clarity through working with you when it comes to SEO, because you got to know what the heck are you doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really funny, because when I do start working with clients, especially in that coaching one-on-one, you know, environment, they do, I think, initially think that it's just going to be about your website and about Google and about, you know, showing up organically. But as you just said, once you start to peel back the onion and the layers, you know, start to come off, what you tend to find is there is a lot more to it than just the technical or just the, you know, search engine side of things. It's actually the core, I guess, base of your business, because your website represents that. But if you're not connecting with the right people, and you're just basing, you know, how your pages and how your words and how your content relates without actually making that connection, then it's not going to work, is it? You're still not going to make it through that, as you said, that journey. So getting to the, you know, the end goal, where is it that you want to go? But if you don't understand and make that connection between, as you said, those foundations, then it's still not going to work. So there is a lot of things that correlate between what you've said and, yeah, the coaching that we do together as well, which is really interesting.
Because we are all human using technology. And so even you, maybe someone is an expert in technology, you are still asking a human to use it. So if you don't understand humanity, it's like, it doesn't make sense. So that's why I think it's so important to have both, like have both
Yes.
understanding. And the people who, I mean, also like kudos to you, because I think you bring that human side of things, because I'm sure that people who are out there teaching technology-based things that to do with SEO or marketing, it's very like, this is the funnel, that's the mechanic, that's the automation, bang, 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 you do this, you do that, A, B, C, D, E, tick the boxes. But it's not quite like that. If you don't understand who are you serving, why are you serving them, what's their pain point, it's not going to hit. So
That's exactly
I
right.
think that's such a big distinction, and that's why, I think it's so important to have that in mind.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that feedback. Now, hindsight can be an awesome thing. So, looking back, and you've spoken about your initial, I guess, place in the business world and what your career started as, and then you progressively moved into your different roles. But if there was anything that you had to go back and do differently, would you do it differently, and why?
Well, I think like sometimes I feel quite two minds about it. It's almost schizophrenic, really.
Yeah.
Like one is that nothing is a failure, nothing is a mistake if you learn from it. So
Yeah.
even like a seemingly failed relationship or job, you can always learn something from it. You will become a better person, and you may not be the person you are today without those experiences. And so often, whether that is a course I did or a friend I help or a job that I took that seems irrelevant, suddenly years later you realize, oh my god, that's why I'm good at this, or why I get this opportunity. They kind of universe have a very strange way of orchestrating events that actually makes no sense, so you don't waste anything. But it's also your attitude and perspective. If you take it that way, and
Mm.
if you appreciate all that so-called failure or mistake or misfortune or error, then it will all make sense later, and you can use it to better yourself. And that's actually to your advantage. Some of the worst thing happened in my life turned out to be the best thing happened in my life. So if you put that in mind, all good, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, that's better sometimes, some of those U-turns. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I do think, wow, I thought like if I kind of like party less if I'm when I was younger, or if I just read more books, like would I be better? Like there are questions like that in my head. That
Yeah.
if I just change early, like I think definitely my mid-20s until mid-20s that I start to question, is this really the path I want to take? Should I be doing something else? People think that I was very brave to drop like kind of drop everything, but I was very reasonable, a rational person. So when I say I drop everything, doesn't mean I just quit a job and that's it. Like I actually find the next job to support
Yes.
my adventure. But I mean, would it be better if I had done it earlier and stopped being asleep and become
Yeah.
more conscious about what I want? But then I don't know. With all these years of partying, maybe I have not so great social skills. So that's what I'm talking about. That often I think there's always two sides of things, and a lot of times that could I have done things better? Maybe I should have handled relationship breakup better, or finish a course better. I don't know, but it's hard to say. So I think you just need to appreciate everything that happened in your life and trust that everything has its time and place, and you should learn from every adventure you have, even though it may be a doomed one, or you didn't make any
Yes.
money out of that particular projects, or people don't even like that book, but then you learn something from that project. So
Absolutely.
look at what you gained rather than what you lost. That will be the
Yes.
attitude to propel you to make the next project successful.
Mm.
So I
I
think that's
don't
what it
know.
is.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about it, but the way that I look at it is that every thing that didn't go the way that you had thought or planned is still a lesson. And
Absolutely.
had you not experienced that lesson at that time, you wouldn't have learnt, all of the different things that you did from that particular situation. So
Mm.
example, right now, during COVID-19, so it's happening at the moment, we're all in isolation and not going out and spending any time, in person.
Or money.
Or money, which is good. But like even our, coaching sessions or client meetings and all of these types of things are all happening, online at the moment. And obviously the economy, which I won't go into too much detail about, but, it's difficult at the moment. So there isn't just a endless array of funds where people are just throwing their money around willy-nilly. Everyone's quite concerned and you don't really know what tomorrow brings. But I just feel like when I launched, my business nearly 3 years ago, I started with zero. So I feel like at the moment, even though touch wood, my business is in a good place, I know what needs to be done to go from zero and move forward, and the things that need to happen. But had I launched my business and had I launched it with, 10 new clients all ready to go on the first day, and I didn't have to worry about promoting myself or marketing my business or doing SEO for my own local business, I would probably be in a very different mindset and a different situation right now, because I wouldn't understand what it would feel like if I had to start back from zero. So I look back at that time and I think I'm really grateful that when I launched, I literally launched with nothing. Like I didn't have a marketing budget. I didn't have any clients. I had to build my entire business, from scratch, from zero. And it was through those experiences that right now, I'm actually okay. I'm okay with, the fact that, we are in isolation. Things have changed, but, the skills that I learnt during that time are actually helping me right now to stay calm, to stay focused and go, do you know what? If that was to be the case again, you know how to go from absolutely nothing to building your business and building that presence and all that kind of thing. And even prior to that, working for an agency, we were fully distributed. So I spent 5 years at home, literally in my pajamas on Zoom. Zoom was my best friend. All of our training was online. All of our client meetings were online. And having to revert back to that right now in isolation has been, that experience was a blessing, because I think, well, I did that for 5 years. So my transition to do that again hasn't felt heavy. The load hasn't felt like I've now got to learn how to use all these things and be remote, because I did that before I launched my own business anyway. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I see it like that too. I think those experiences, although at the time they might feel like failure, they're actually the best lessons that can set you up, for better success. And success doesn't necessarily equal dollar signs. Success is, I know for me, being able to do what I love every day and working with the people who we choose each other to work with. I'm not working with people who are not on the same page or same wavelength. So yeah, I agree. I think it's important to look at those examples as lessons and good things.
Yeah, and I think the universe works in mysterious ways. So interesting story. So I told you, like, first of all, my dad is an actor for most of his life. So I've been dabbling acting when I was little. And then puberty hit. I look awful. I kind of have to force retired. Anyway, but the funny thing was, so when I started to wonder what I want to do, I went to the film and television business because I thought, oh, that seemed exciting. I follow my curiosity. I didn't know what my passion was. That's sometimes a misconception. You don't know your passion necessarily. Like someone say, I want to be a policeman at 3. Good luck to you. Most people are not like that. You follow your curiosity or intuition. You just discover step by step. And then maybe you land in passion, maybe not. Anyway, I follow my curiosity, so I landed in the TV and television industry. But the funny thing was, I think the biggest thing I've learned about that, it's about creative entrepreneurship. It's actually really hand in hand. 1, 2, it's about later on how I love to become a public speaker. because I have videotaped so many wannabe actors, and I have a one look at them and one hear of them, and I know, dude, I'm sorry, you're good for print, but I don't think you can get on the commercial.
Yeah.
So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that those years of working in film and television make me really sharp with certain things like videos and people speaking, what come across as good, how they connect with the audience. These are very intangible stuff, and I have a sort of front row seat in the third party. So I think it really helped me or give me the confidence or excite me to become a speaker, because I really see how you can connect with people when you can speak to them through videos or in person. So that helped me. First of all, I'm not as scared to start. I'm not saying that I'm brilliant. I just say that I'm comfortable because I've been working in that business, and I just have no shame.
Yeah.
and that was a weird kind of unintentional training.
Yeah.
So you don't know what the universe plays in front of you.
That's it.
And I think that's something that to be mindful of. Like, you didn't know those 5 years in pajamas is going to help you to learn how you're going to, handle this period of time and things like that. We can't foresee everything. And I think people who try to calculate everything, judging a boyfriend by the CV kind of attitude is actually not going to work, because you gotta trust the universe. You gotta trust life has its own way of showing you the next step. You just need to do your part.
Yes.
And that's it. If you see what is right in front of you, that feels right, you do it. But if you try too hard to calculate,
and control,
to judge, to control,
the control, I think,
work.
It doesn't work. If you do, and I'm a bit of a, I like to try and plan and control things, because it keeps me less anxious. If I have a plan and I know what I'm doing, then I tend to feel it's important. But it's equally important to let go, which is the T-shirt that you showed me that you have on today. That's your T-shirt, and I've got my special unbothered.
So I let the shit go.
Let the shit go. That's it.
And you got unbothered.
And I've got unbothered. So we are so in sync. But it's so true. Just letting it be. You can't control everything, and most of the time, the only thing you can control is yourself. So the things that are around you anyway, you're not going to be able to, completely say it's going to go this way or it's going to go that way. You can't control anything external to yourself. So I love that, and I love that it's.
I think it's a balance. I mean, I love what you said, that you got what they say. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You do have to have some planning. You need to organize this phone call, right? You cannot just, maybe I feel like talking today. No. So you do have to organize it. But there's also a spontaneous feeling that, I think it would be great to interview so-and-so, or maybe I should write about whatever. You can have that spark naturally. And as she said, if something doesn't go according to plan, you have to let go. But so I think it's a balance between how much we do rationally, consciously, and plan and take actions. But then it's also, there's the part where we need to know, okay, we need to rest, we need to let go, we need to sit back, we need to wait. So I think, again, come back to your spiritual practices. I mean, if you meditate, if you spend some quiet time, if you are in touch with your heart, so to speak, then it's easier to know where that balance, and where do you draw the line that, it's time for me to step back, versus I may need to plan more in details.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the balance of the two, I think, is incredibly important. Now, when you decided to go down the entrepreneurial path, obviously that was quite a difference from your initial work experience. So since doing that, I guess now having a look at and thinking about your visibility and really getting, the message out there about how you help and how you serve people, What would you say were some of the integral things that you've been able to do to achieve that? And what's helped you really build your business and have that visibility, whether that's, online or offline? Just some of the key things, I guess, that you did that our audience, might find helpful if they're starting out their new business, or they're in business at the moment, but they just need a bit of a change.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you can lend to us from your experience that, kind of helped you to really get your name out there and get that visibility going?
I think one of the things is actually people, instead of thinking, I'm so inspired right now, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow and I'm going to full 100% creating my business. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Some people take themselves to that edge and they have nowhere to go but to fly. They jump, they work very hard, and that's when you hear them living in people's houses and for a while, but then they finally succeed. That's the story. It happens. But personally, it depends on who you are. Like some people, it works. It just works. They can sleep on someone's floor. I couldn't, okay? I'm not that type. I'm not that type. Like, so that forced me to fly thing didn't work for me, and not for everyone. I'm saying some people really made it because they pushed into that sort of, they got it. Yeah. But you need to know who you are, what is your personality. For me, I actually think that if you're like me, who it's like a bit more rational, who want to build something for the long term, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. I think it's best to maybe take up a lesser demanding job, or think about maybe you can work in the morning or in the evening. Find other ways to not to have that financial stress on your business, because when people are desperate, you can find a new entrepreneur or practitioner who are so desperate for the dollar because they quit the job, and it changes the energy or the strategy and everything, because they're so concerned if they cannot make the rent, and it changes the quality of your work as well. So I think having some, say, maybe you save up 6 months savings, so that's great. If you have some savings, that's fine. You can quit and give yourself several months to do work on it full time. But if you are like me, you don't like that pressure, and I have seen a lot of people who started out with that pressure, it's actually counterproductive for them, because maybe they also cannot afford to get a better laptop, or they cannot afford to participate in some very important event or learn a course or invest in themselves because they just don't have the income. So that may be counterproductive. So I think for me, one advice is that don't just quit your job just yet. You can find a less demanding job. You can do something else meanwhile, or part-time, but don't jump like that so that your entire new business become your source of income. So I'm always a firm believer in multiple streams of income. So whether it's transitioning from employee to your business, that's one thing. But even if your own business, I don't rely on one source of income. There will be coaching, there'll be books, there'll be speaking, there'll be products. So there are different things. I don't like the idea of one stream of income. So people, like right now, if you are heavily relying on in-person events or appointments, then you will have a big problem, because not everything can move online. So for me, that's one thing, not a single stream of income. And transition wise, you've got to know who you are. So find the right way to transition. I think that's why the push thing is not good. Like, it works for some people, but not for everybody. I cannot live on someone's floor. So that's one. I think that's my advice. What was the second thing? I think also know yourself. Again, it's all come down to something so basic, so common sense. I have coach clients that they actually quite successful in the business, but they feel the pressure to be online, but they absolutely hated social media and online marketing. They just not that type. I mean, they say that they hate it. And I was like, if you hate it so much,
why are you doing it?
Exactly. You cannot try to be someone else. So you already run a successful business in person, or selling actual products in stores or shops or a festival. You don't have to, but if you really want to expand for whatever reason that you feel called to, then outsource it. Hire someone to do the online part for you. You got to know who you are and your capacity. Don't force yourself to do something you hate, because that energy is like, the brick and the gas energetically, it's not going to work for you.
Absolutely.
I think some clients really benefit from offline work, and some people love online work. Find out who you are, and don't push yourself to do something you don't want to do, because it's just not right. But if you feel, I really need to have different platform, I want to break out from just selling in shops, whatever that is, then find a way that you don't hate it so much. Hire someone.
Absolutely.
Or get a distributor. I don't know. But, find out a way that you don't hate. So be creative, have common sense. I think that's really important. A lot of people think they have to follow all the gurus out there teaching you what you have to do, but you can't be that rigid. You have to do you, basically.
I love that. You have to do you. And I think you've raised a couple of really important points in explaining that. One of them that you explained was not having all your eggs in the one basket. I think that is super important, that you do sort of expand almost into different avenues, and not just have one stream or one line for your business, because as we're seeing, I guess right now too, hey, that can dry up, and it can really leave you in a circumstance where you're like, great, now all of that one particular avenue or revenue is gone. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you diversified, I guess, your channels, and what inspired you to go into the channels that you did?
I guess first of all, I'm pretty lucky that I'm happy with both online, offline. Offline meaning I love in-person events. I love connecting with people, seeing people, and I like to work with people one-on-one or group settings. So that makes it easy for me. So if you're ultra introvert, you don't even like to meet people or work with a group of people, you will have to focus on another way to diversify. So if I talk about myself, for instance, I'm happy to do in-person events, group or individual. So that's already, you can tell that's 2 or 3 options for income. But then I'm also happy online, where I can just coach online. I can sell books, and from your book, the content you have or the expertise you can always put it into online course, and an online course that you can be evergreen, that you can sell and update from time to time, but pretty much ongoing. So that's great. The passive income stream is great. But you can also do online event that has a live element, where you really help people, say right now, coping with stress or isolation. So you can have something that it's for the specific time. So that's that. And then again, you could have a collaborative events. I talk about people may like to come together. Maybe the online summit I did, this is also another business project where it helps people to promote their business, but also share the expertise to the people who are interested. So there are many ways to leverage your own knowledge, your expertise, your own network, your friends, circle, influence, and so forth. You just have to be creative and think about, so what can be my multiple streams of income. And I often think, when you have one particular source of knowledge, say you're a writer or you're a technical expert, but if you put everything into a book, the book can become an online course, it can be online summit, it can be online seminar. So totally, it's really flexible. So I think that's what I mean by multiple streams of income. I don't mean so I do this coaching thing, but then I will also sing opera, or some people have multiple passions.
That's really multi-skilled. Yeah.
There are people who do that they may be a lawyer in the day, and at night they are singing in bars. I don't know, that could be. But for me, I'm more like, you have one particular area of expertise, but you can diversify within that. So that's one thing. And as I said, if you're, for example, very, very introverted, you don't like to meet people, you don't like out there, so online space is great for you, because you don't have to. And even within that, you can still diversify. It's a different mindset. It's about really think it through, how you can leverage what you already know And I think that's sort of my principle or foundation of how I help people to think from that direction.
Yeah, that's awesome. The other thing that I took away from that particular question that you answered about, things that have helped you become visible and not being in that desperate state, which I think is a crucial lesson that we all learn when we're in business. We think, oh, we've launched, and so the first thing we need to do is get, as many clients as we can and get the income and the dollars coming through. But when you're in that desperate state, the universe smells that. I don't know if you agree with me, but like when you are really desperate, the universe can actually, tell. And so it's almost like you're bouncing opportunity away from you rather than letting it enter you, because you're in that state, and it's almost like people can smell it a mile away. So it's better to not put yourself, as you said, in that situation where you're feeling like, now I just need to scramble and hustle and do all these things that don't feel also good. But the thing is that, yeah, other people can sense it, and the universe can sense it as well when you're, in that state. So that was a really good point.
I think you got to really know that the universe doesn't respond to what you say, but how you feel. So even you're reciting affirmation and you say, "Oh, I'm totally confident," and rah rah rah. But you don't feel that way, the universe responds to your energy, and so do people. People don't just respond to what you say, but how you say it, the energy behind what you say. So how you feeling matters. If you're desperate, even though your words were completely perfectly written, people can feel it behind it. So that's number one. And I think, number two is that it's all about relationships. It's relationship with your clients, relationship with your audience. So sometimes maybe what you wrote and what you put out there, marketing really worked, and some people want to work with you right away. Sometimes it takes longer. It's about building the relationship. Not everyone is going to fall in love with you right away, but it's about continuously creating that relationship to get visible. And it's just like making friends. You may just hit it off in one night, but sometimes it takes longer, and you got to give that time. So desperation doesn't work that way. And I think actually my most loyal customer, so to speak, is actually through time, not those, oh my God, this looks amazing, and jumped in. Yeah, some people stick around, but I think relationship takes time. So take the desperation out is important.
Right. So we're up to the very final question, and that's the naughty C word. So COVID-19, I'm calling it the naughty C word.
I know, this is quite naughty, in fact.
So have you had to make any changes, I guess, in your business as a result of what's happening at the moment? And do you feel like those changes have either helped or hindered you? So we mentioned before that bringing across some previous experiences and skills, I know for myself, has actually helped me right now. So I don't feel, I guess, as much of a negative, impact about having to work in isolation, only because I'd experienced that in the past for quite some time. So yeah, right now I feel like I'm revisiting, my past a little bit in doing that. But I guess with your business, have you found that you've had to make some changes, and what has that eventuated into?
Well, I think the timing is quite interesting because I'm actually on final weeks of my pregnancy, so I've been dialing down anyway with my business activity. I mean, there was some opportunity of speaking and promoting in person, so that has to go because in March because of the crisis. But I think that's also okay because, as I said before, I have been doing both in person and online events, so that hasn't affected me as much, and as well as because I'm planning to dial down for this period anyway because I'm expecting the baby to come. But I think working from home definitely more than before, staying indoor give me a little bit more time and space if my husband is not bothering me at home because he's also working at home, and sometimes he would just be too chatty, surprisingly. So we do have some ground rules that don't disturb me when I'm writing or thinking, that kind of thing. So But I do enjoy having him around. But I think to be at home more sometimes give me more space to think about what I really want to do. So that's a plus sign. The negative sign is that I do long for human interaction. So I actually suspect that when this is all over, the in-person event is going to bloom because everybody just want to go out there and do
and hug
things,
each other.
and hug each other and do things.
Yep.
And I think so. It's interesting. It's like, in the Chinese philosophy, yin and yang. So it's always a duality. So because of this isolation, maybe end of the year, there will be a blooming in events because people want to go out and mingle and learn and, get out of the house,
Absolutely.
So that's actually could be a business opportunity. So it's always a plus and minus. And it's true. I think people are a bit more conservative in terms of spending pattern right now.
Yes.
That being said, I think people is also eager to learn and maybe transition from one way of running the business or working to another. So there are definitely opportunities when there's a crisis. And in Chinese, actually the word crisis means half of it is danger, half of it is opportunity.
Wow.
So,
I love that. Yeah.
I know, Chinese is so
That's
cool.
awesome.
But anyway, you won't know if I'm just lying to you. But no, it's true. It's true.
It's true.
And Chinese word has a lot of those things. And
Yep.
and I do see there's opportunity as well as a big risk. I mean, obviously, it's no joke that a lot of people are affected, and from
Yes.
income, mental health, physical health, they may lose a loved one. There's a lot of social instability as well, different parts of the world.
Yeah.
Very, very bad situation. But at the same time, that could be opportunity for us to come together, united, care about our health, our political system, our country, and so forth. So there's always an opportunity for growth. And for any business owner right now, it could be a really great wake-up call about saving the money, maybe more conservative in your strategy about spending and budgeting, maybe multiple streams of income, or maybe foreseeing a bloom at the end of the year when this is over. Like I'm hoping it will be over by the end of the year. So you see, that's actually a lot of possibility to dream on. So it's not just all negative, but I think you got to be able to stand in that place where you can balance both, seeing it as a crisis and seeing it as an opportunity as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've again hit the nail on the head with that. I think it's perspective, and I think it's the way in which you look at what's happening and whether you see it as an opportunity or whether it's, the doom and gloom. But either way, we're going through it. So we want to come out the other end. We want to, maintain our businesses and obviously our families and our health and all of that side of it. So my perspective, I guess, on it is that, you need to continue moving forward because either way, you still are going to have an outcome at the end of this. And so you want to be positioning yourself at the other side. You want to be in the strongest position you possibly can be. And so I think just sitting in, the doom and gloom of it all is not necessarily the best way to go.
The children's book, We're Going on a Bear Hunt? You have kids, you should know that book, right? And I found it very amazing where, they keep on saying you're going on a bear hunt and they different challenges like oozy mud or wind or storm. Like what kind of forest there is to have all these challenges. But anyway, but all these crises, what they say you cannot go over it, you cannot go under, you have to go through it.
Go through it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. And so anyway, Mum's children's book, got a little crazy, read it too many times. That's what happens.
Awesome. It's been such a pleasure and so fun having you on the show today, SzeWing. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know, as you said, you're about to have your second bub. So, good luck with all of that. And thank you again for making the time to spend it with us today. Now, if you'd like to get in contact with SzeWing, you can find her at SzeWingVetault.com. She's also on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be popping in those links at the bottom of this podcast as well, so you can get in touch and have a chat to Z with regards to, the areas that she specializes in and her coaching. And you can also visit her website. When you head to her homepage, you can also access her Goddess quiz. So did you want to just give us a little sneak peek or preview as to what that quiz is, and I guess how it can help some of the audience that are listening today?
Sure. We talk a little bit about the goddess archetypes, the blueprint that you have when you're born, and also could be influenced by circumstances. So I put together a very simple quiz that you just, a few questions that you click through, and you will see the profile, like which goddess archetype is the most active in you. So you understand yourself a little bit better. But also through doing this, you would understand perhaps the relationship you have better. So it's very straightforward, just a glimpse of what the archetypes are and how they may affect you in your life. So come on through the website, and it's all there, and it's just going to take you a few minutes and you will get the results.
That's awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks, C. I
Thank
look forward
you.
to chatting
Thank
to you
you for
again
having
soon.
me here.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening today and making time to tune in. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please leave a review and some feedback. If you'd like to learn more about me or my services, you can find me at doreenbrown.com.au with links to social profiles so you can connect with me on there as well. Well, that's it from me today. So see you next time for the next installment of Let's Get Visible.